NPR recently interviewed a former Doge guy, Celio Lavingia, about his activities there. And when he was asked about finding government inefficiencies, he gave a very, very revealing answer that is worth listening to in full.
One of the big things that we've heard Elon Musk say and the president say as they've described the work of Doge is that its goal is to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, which they allege the federal bureaucracy is rife with. As you did more and more of this work in the time that you were involved with Doge, did you find the federal bureaucracy to be rife with waste and fraud and abuse?
Frankly, no, I did not find the federal government to be rife with waste, fraud, and abuse. I was expecting some more easy wins. I was hoping for opportunity to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. And I do believe that there is a lot of waste. There's minimal amounts of fraud, and abuse, to me, feels relatively non-existent. And the reason is I think we have a bias as people coming from the tech industry where we've worked at companies, such as Google, Facebook, these companies that have plenty of money, are funded by investors, and have lots of people kind of sitting around doing nothing.
One of the most pernicious myths of neoliberalism is this idea that the private sector is more efficient than the public sector. In fact, you could say it's like the most important propaganda win of the 20th and 21st century, because literally everyone believes this. Like it's almost an article of faith among even people who describe themselves as leftists. But in reality, government, especially the U.S. government and these government agencies, they are the most scrutinized spenders, in all of the entire United States economy. They're constantly dealing with budget crunches and cuts, and they have to basically account for every single dollar they spend because there is a politician who's going to be seeking accountability and seeking out waste at every corner. So they have to constantly prove that they're not just wasting taxpayer dollars. And so you see this story come up over and over and over again of people who scrutinize public spending to find waste and end up seeing that actually things are really efficient, except for two things, which is really funny to me. The first is the fact that everything is slowed down by the constant need to seek higher level approvals, which again is related to this stringency and accountability for every dollar spent. And the second thing is outdated equipment. And that's like the thing that this guy mentioned, and that anyone who worked in government or has worked in government can tell you, that government offices, government agencies, whether US, Canada, Europe, doesn't matter, are often using very, very outdated equipment because in the government's mind, spending on, productive equipment or equipment in general is seen as wasteful. It's seen as a luxury. And keep in mind, these are often heavily unionized environments as well. Whereas the private sector, which I have worked in, especially startup companies in tech, they are awash in angel investor money, seed money, and then if they get really successful and grow, then eventually they'll do an IPO and they're accountable to their shareholders. And one of the easiest metrics to demonstrate a healthy company outside of profits, which in tech are not even that important in the early phases, is company growth. How do you show that your company is being successful? You hire a bunch of people. And these companies often do this knowing that, if things don't go well 6 quarters down the line, you can just kill off half or all of the people you hired in a flurry after your seed one, or your seed A or seed B investment rounds. Like, people think that the fact that private companies have to compete with one another on the open market means that they're immune to inefficiency. That is 100% not true. 100% not true. And I'm gonna do a whole other TikTok on the myth of competition as a driver of efficiency among private companies. And I'll use airlines as an example.